Good evening, Brooklyn. Good evening, the world. Good evening, our councilwoman Inna Vernikov. Innochka, добрый вечер.
Добрый вечер. Good evening, everyone.
So, guys, we're going to speak English here, but we'll add some sprinkles of Russian here and there where we want to make a point. So, tonight is our first meeting online in your presence in connection with the campaign, because city council person gets reelected every 2 years, and I have a problem with that. You just learn the ropes once you here, like 1 year and change, year and a half after you are became elected. So you became a councilwoman, became a Republican councilwoman representing the best in us, in our community. So how do you feel about this process being just being so short, not to let you know everything that would make you more effective in your job? Or you think it's pretty quick thing?
And first of all, thank you for your help and all your viewers and listeners who contributed to my campaign last time around. And yeah, I'm running again. June 27th is a primary, Republican primary, and November 7th is a general election. So it's coming up again. But it's actually, I'm going to correct you a little bit. It's not
Yeah.
always 2 years. Right now, it's a 2-year term just because they redistricted. Every 10 years, they
Mhm.
redistrict the maps.
I
So
see.
because they change the maps, the time is cut short because you have to get reelected on a new map. So it's 2 years, 2 years, and then 4 years. So it's actually usually a 2 4-year terms. So it's eight
I
years
see.
together.
I see now.
Yeah,
Forgive my.
you're good.
Um, yeah, I'm a quick learner. I know that, just like you. I learn a lot from you, so that's how we do it. Listen, you came in on a very spectacular thing, a big thing that happened. Everybody remembers this dealership, not the dealership, but the repair place for Volkswagen on near Bay Academy School. That was about to become a homeless shelter, and the school is in very close proximity to that place. So the dealership got closed, and the city decided to arrange a homeless shelter, like, I don't know what, 200 yards away from a school. And we see how it looks in the city. It wasn't that terrible then, but now we see how it ends up in the city. So you were pretty far-sighted at the moment. So you spoke against it, and due to your efforts, this place did not become a homeless shelter that would greatly affect the quality of life, greatly affect the safety of children, greatly affect the cost of the price of the real estate in the area. Everything would go down. Everything that people built, that they borrowed money to build or renovate, they would lose a lot of money if this place would become a homeless shelter. So, what's the situation now? What it will be? The doors are still closed, or something is coming up.
So first of all, I want to thank everyone who was involved in advocating against the homeless shelter being placed at 100 Neptune Avenue. It was definitely not me alone. Yes, you're right. I came in. I was campaigning then for office, and that was one of the things we came in on. And I made that one of the issues that I ran on. That was, a big campaign issue, that I will be taking a stand against homeless shelters being placed in the middle of residential neighborhoods or next to schools. Now, I'm not against homeless shelters in certain areas, but they cannot be put next to schools or in residential neighborhoods because that would tremendously impact the quality of life. It's dangerous. It was supposed to be a congregate men's shelter that would have 17 men in one room. And it would be men. There's no question that there would be men there who are problematic, who would do drugs, who would be potentially having a criminal background history. There's no question that would happen. And having that literally a couple of blocks away from a school, elementary school or a high school, is just not acceptable in our community, in any community. So I was very loud against it when I was campaigning. I wrote letters to DHS. I spoke to DHS. I spoke at rallies. We did media on this issue. And again, I wasn't the only one, but I think it was pretty loud, made it my campaign issue. And thankfully, thankfully they said that they weren't going to do the homeless shelter in that place. But I think people, when it comes to our city agencies, people don't have a lot of trust in them. So even though they said they weren't going to do it, and we couldn't get anything in writing, I actually had a recording of them. I remember when I was campaigning, that recording went viral because I had a conversation with a DHS person, and I had a recording of them saying there's no plans to do a homeless shelter there. But even then, people were anxious about like what's going to happen to this place, what's going to happen to 100 Neptune Avenue. It's just standing there empty, and like people still thought maybe they're still going to do it. So now, finally, with the help of Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, we were able to confirm that there's going to be a postal facility there instead of a homeless shelter or anything else. So we don't know if it's going to be a post office, but it's going to be a postal facility. We're going to find out soon exactly if it's going to be a post office or a facility. But they're going to start building it in 2024, and they're definitely doing that. That's the plan for that place. So I think that calms people's anxiety that we know that it's going to be a postal facility. Therefore, it can't be anything else.
Sure, it's a prime location. Speaking of the area, it's like in the center of a lot of things. And allow me to say a few words in Russian for those who are watching us in Russian. Друзья мои, внизу экрана, если вы смотрите на YouTube, я не знаю, как это происходит на Facebook, но на YouTube есть такой квадратик, в нем две буквы C, S, да? Вы их нажимаете и выбираете субтитры по-русски. Subtitles in Russian. You can get them there by pressing CC and selecting. Выбираете там русский язык как язык, и вы имеете субтитры довольно приличные. Я думаю, 70-80% будет переведено достаточно точно. Ну и потом всегда можно задать вопрос. Вы видите, у нас здесь есть чат. И мы вернемся сейчас к нашим темам, к нашему разговору, к сути. Вы помните, кнопочка CC, и там будет меню, множественный выбор, выбрать русский язык, и можете видеть это все в переводе. Инна, here's the thing. So in this area, you kind of made it this serious strategic point of your campaign. And I was so excited, and I think I transferred this excitement to people who were watching my program a few days ago, the continuation of your work. So it's a big thing. For those who don't understand, the power behind all those feel-good things is arranging this and that for people who basically kind of need different kind of attention. It's huge, and it's really you went face to face to the bureaucracy, and whether you want to talk about it or not, you make your enemies your allies, you make your allies your best allies. And so this is how the work of a councilwoman goes right now. But you switched your attention to Shipstead Bay itself, the proper this bay that is, for lack of a better word, is like a promenade for Brooklynites who live in the area. If they don't go, if they want to combine a visit to a fine restaurant and to walk around this bay, and there is a very prestigious area in terms of real estate and people who live there. It's Manhattan Beach, and there's a lot of boats in this body of water, in this bay. And not everything is in good shape. And sometimes we see a lot of garbage floating around. And sometimes we marvel at the beautiful white swans. So you had a project regarding cleaning up this bay. And I'm very anxious to know and hear more about it. How did it go? So you got the budget for it, right?
Yeah. So basically, there were about 7 boats in the bay on Emmons Avenue that were abandoned and sunken like inside the water. And actually it was it wasn't pretty, but also it was very damaging for the water habitat, for the underwater habitat, for like the fish, because there's liquids that come out of the boats that could be poisonous. And so it's 2 things. It's 2 problems that we had 2 problems with that. People were complaining that it just doesn't look good, and it's the heart of Shipstead Bay, like you said. It's where people go to restaurants, they go shopping. It's really like the heart of our neighborhood. It's such a pretty place, and we don't want to ruin that. We want to maintain that. So part of it was like just aesthetics, and people have been complaining about it for many years, and nobody paid attention to it, and like nobody was able to figure out.
For the other boats who are
Yes,
who are there.
yes, it was bad for the boats, for the boaters. There's jet skis that go there in the summer. There's people who fish in the summer. So it just was bad all around for many reasons. And people for many years were trying to get them out of there. And like they couldn't find a way to do this. And like nobody was paying attention to it. And we actually sat with my team and figured out where to get the money to get them out, and we did it through a Greener Parks initiative,
Oh,
NYC Greener Parks initiative, through the Department of Parks, through the Parks Department, and we were able to allocate the money to get them out. And we went there with the team and with the divers, and we saw the whole thing. And there was a lot of
yeah,
media,
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of fun actually. But yeah, we got it done. I mean, people have been complaining about this for many years, and nobody did it, and we were able to get it done. That's what this is about: getting things done.
And to me, it's like what was in the heart of our best mayor, Rudy Giuliani, with in his broken windows policy. When people see that the authorities are paying attention, they kind of, button up a little bit and they
Yeah.
start behaving better. And the authorities get this fever as well back from them. So they see people leave less garbage and place the everything in the whatever receptacles are installed there. So society grows when people who are elected pay attention and they fix things. And it goes like I don't know those analogies, but it was like like a forest fire, you know so we become a better city. It's been done by Rudy Giuliani, and we need to do it again. We need to bring our city back and enjoy it to the max.
Yeah, and I just want to say quickly something about the garbage. I mean, obviously, like people always complain about garbage. There's two top complaints that we have: illegally parked vehicles, commercial vehicles, and garbage, right? So I just have to say something about that because we are so on top of the garbage. We really try our best. I mean, we cannot be everywhere, so we don't see everything in the whole district, but sanitation goes out several times a week, twice a day, picks up the garbage. The problem is that people have to be a little bit more responsible and respectful, because honestly, I have to say, being on the inside, sanitation department is the best and most effective city agency that we have. Every time we call them, they're there within an hour or two. I promise you, they're there within 2 hours tops. They're always responsible to us, they're always responsive to us. But however, they're not cleaning ladies. Like, they can't just pick up the garbage after you every hour. It's just not
Yeah.
possible. And unfortunately, people are disrespectful, and they need to be more responsible. We try to put out more garbage cans as much as we can, but then they get overfilled, and people just, they need to have a little more respect for our streets and for other people. So just please don't throw the garbage anywhere. Just because you see a pile, don't throw it on, because that's what happens. You see a
Yeah.
pile and you like, oh, this is garbage, let me just throw in a little more. Who cares? Like, if people just cared a little more, it would really be helpful.
And don't bring, the dear friends, don't bring tons of old bagels, please, because you're only feeding the rats.
Yeah, please stop feeding the birds.
Once,
If you don't want,
don't touch the stuff.
they gotta stop feeding the birds. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And rats too. So that's the story with this with the Shipshed Bay, and it's fantastic in terms of it's very visual. And if you want to follow, dear friends, if you want to follow what Inna does for Southern Brooklyn, please go to what Facebook is the best, right?
Yes,
Instagram, right?
please don't. If you want to see what I'm doing, Twitter is not the greatest page for that. The best one is Facebook and Instagram, because Twitter is more for just like photos and just other things. But Facebook and Instagram is where we really showcase what we do on a daily basis. And we try to post, at least once a day. So we really do I have an amazing team, and we really do a lot for the community with sanitation, with illegally parked vehicles. We are a very busy office. We actually are number one in Brooklyn, according to Council Stat, the system that records all the cases. We're number
Hmm.
one in Brooklyn for constituent services. We're number two in New York City for the amount of cases that we take on. So we do a lot. We can't post all of what we do on social media, but we try to do at least like one post a day. So we really, and we also have a newsletter. If anybody wants to sign up to our newsletter, reach out on social media. We'll sign you up. We do it like once a month. We try to do it once a month. It's very detailed. We post a lot of things that we do in our newsletter.
If you really want to know, friends, if you not just want to fume and complain, just go and sign up and look at the pictures and go to Instagram. It's Inna Vernikov, right? At Inna
Yeah,
Vernikov
it's
on Instagram.
Councilwoman Inna Vernikov on
Councilwoman.
Instagram, yeah, and Facebook.
So there are serious, other serious things that happening. There are kind of things that are important to this very visible and very hardworking part of our community. It's the Asian community of South Brooklyn. So there is a patrol, right? That is modeled from the experience of Jewish community, right? From what I know. Can you tell us more about it, to protect Asians? Because a lot of Asians, they shuddered immediately when the flu broke out, the COVID, the Wuhan, as we know now. It was from the lab, officially confirmed so far. Nobody's saying anything about it. Not entirely 100% sure that it was from there, but that it was artificially manufactured, that's already, I think, a given, especially when Christopher Wray, the head of FBI, said a few words about it. So now we have Asian Patrol here. So can you tell a few words about how it came about?
Yeah, so I was working with the Asian community from the beginning of when I was sworn into office last December. And, obviously there's rising crime in our city, but the biggest targets and victims of these crimes are two communities. Number one, it's the Jewish community, and number two is the Asian community. And I say number one, number two, because the Jewish community is taking the brunt of all the hate crimes and all the incidents. About 60% of all hate crimes are against Jews in America, even though 60% is more than all protected minorities combined. And then the second group is the Asian American community. And that's because they're all, the two communities, I think, in my opinion, it's because they're seen as vulnerable targets. They're easy to punch, to attack, to rob, right? They're not going to fight back. People, that's the reputation that these two communities have. We're not going to fight back. Nobody's scared of us, right?
We have other things in our minds.
Right. We do more like philosophy and writing letters, and we're busy with other stuff. But
so I hope so.
So basically, I was thinking about how I can. My capacity to help is limited. I'm not the mayor. I don't have, my job is basically do legislation in City Hall, and here in the district, basically take care of the district, make sure the agencies are doing their job. That's basically what a council person is supposed to do, right? So I was thinking about what I can do in my capacity to help them. So I remembered that we have an amazing initiative it's an ongoing thing, which is called Shomrim. Flatbush Showman, we have Borough Showman, we have Shmir, we have different organizations that are community organizations that are basically made up of civilian volunteers, and they help patrol the neighborhood. Basically what they do is they're very visible, they have uniforms, they walk around, and they have a direct line to the police, and they call them up if something happens, and the cops are there more often. And also just having their presence there already helps to deter crime, because people see somebody in uniform, they may go somewhere else. So this
word is
a
good, powerful thing, good, powerful tool just to talk to people. Sometimes you can talk them out of it.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible thing that we have in the Jewish community. And sometimes members of the community, because of cultural issues, they may not even want to call 911. Like there's a lot of people from the Orthodox community that call Shomrim before they call 911. So it's kind of similar with the Asian community, I think it's like the nature of their culture. I feel like they would rather sometimes call their own community members and then call 911. I think that's like engraved in their culture. So basically I decided that why not have something similar in the Asian community. So we got together with the members of active members of the Asian community, and we put this group together. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time and effort, but we got a great group. We got about 30 volunteers, and we got uniforms, we got pamphlets, we got a website, we got social media pages up, and we got an email, we got a phone number, and we're out there. We started patrol last week. There was another patrol this week. I'm actually going on patrol with them myself next week. So it's a really great initiative. We're very excited about it. And we walked around and asked the businesses in the neighborhood if they would feel safer, and they said yes. So we're very excited.
That's great news. We want everybody to be safe, and our community, of course, remains in the front of us all. We want to protect, like they say, put the oxygen mask first on yourself, and then you take care of everybody else. So our community protects itself so well with your help, and we could speak for long time about your efforts, very visible efforts, combating anti-Semitism in the City University of New York. It was a big project. And it was relatively well publicized, so people would know first about the fact that anti-Semitism exists. It's important to say that it's not behind us so far, but that's a big topic, and we have little time. So I wanted to ask you about one thing that I promised my listeners to talk about, this controversy that they hear so much on a certain radio station. And it's about the street, to co-name a street after Victor Topaler. Victor Topaler is a fantastic individual who brought a lot of people into conservative movement. He brought them in the Republican Party, which is very visible. People were very eager to listen to his regular programs over the radio, and for a while on the Russian-speaking television. He was a Russian-speaking host. So, I'm sorry. And I'm proud that, and I will never forget that he brought me into his programs. A number of times I was his counterpart, sometimes when he wanted to have a dialogue. So we had pretty lively conversations with him regularly, lengthy ones too. And I feel very strongly about him. So a lot of people heard very insisting voices that you did not support naming the street after him in Brighton Beach area. So can you tell us what happened from your side of the story, please?
Sure. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation about this. So basically, let me just tell you, a couple of months ago, we made a policy in my office that we will not get involved with street co-namings, because there was a controversial street co-naming that we were involved with, and we realized that it's something that's very emotional for people. People disagree on this topic a lot, and the truth is that most council members do not get involved in co-namings. This is not really for us to decide. And I should not be the only person to make these decisions when people feel differently about the co-namings. They have attachments to certain people. This specific co-naming, I definitely didn't know the journalist. I didn't know Victor. I never listened to him, but I've heard amazing things about him. So many amazing things. He was pro-Israel. People listened to him. So, but that has really nothing to do with the topic at hand. Basically, what I decided a couple of months ago that I'm going to do with co-namings, which is what most council members do anyway, is not to be the decision maker alone. I'm not the smartest person in the room. Usually what happens is there's a community board. Every district has several community boards. I have 3 community boards. This co-naming belongs to the 13th community board. And when this came to me, I did what we decided to do months ago, which is give it to the community board. The community board.
So how was the initiative? Who started all this? Who started the
Oh,
process? Whose idea was to start
we
the co-naming procedure?
yeah, I don't know whose idea it was. We got a request in the office. We got a
Mm.
request in writing to the office to support a co-naming, and we have a policy of not doing it because we don't want to get involved. We don't want to upset people. So we give it to the community board, which is again, it's exactly what almost every council member does. We
The
give it to the
community
community. That's
board
what
in the
community.
area where they proposed the co-naming.
Correct. Correct. So the community board is there for that specific reason, to decide on these kind of things. There's a lot of people on the community board. They deliberate in public hearings. They talk about whatever issue comes up, especially co-namings. They talk about it. They take a vote. Whatever the majority votes on, that's what they decide. And what I said about this co-naming, like about every other co-naming that I'm going to be doing, is that whatever the community board decides and votes on, which is the community board represents the community. So I said, whatever the community does, whatever the community decide, that's what I'm going to do. If they if they vote for a co-naming, I will go and I will stand on the street. We will have the street sign. We will invite media. We will do a ceremony. We will celebrate. We will invite the family. I'm happy to do it, but I will not make these decisions on my own. So this is a decision that's for the community board. It's exactly what
Number
almost
13,
every
right?
13,
Community board
yes.
number 13. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what almost every council member does. I didn't do anything differently. Whatever I did with this is what I did before. What I'm gonna do now. It's just something that I don't think I should be deciding by myself. I never, voted against anything. I never said I'm against this co-naming or against this person. That's just disinformation. So it's up to the community board. Whatever they decided, I'll follow them.
Let me ask you. There is I heard there is a like a rule that if a person didn't live in Brooklyn, say in our case, he cannot be. There is no co-naming could be done with his name because he was not a resident of Brooklyn. If it's true, can we overcome it if Community Board 13 comes through and presents properly the case to name Brighton first and Coney Island and Brighton Beach Avenue,
Yeah.
Victor Topaler Way, or
Yeah, I mean,
corner?
unfortunately, there are rules about co-namings, and some of them are basically that in order to have a street co-named after you, you have to live in the area, you have to live in the city, you have to have done community work. So whatever those rules are, I don't want to be the one to say no or to say yes. That's why I gave it to the community board. That's what I'm doing. The community board can
Yeah.
deliberate. I think that some members of the community board had an issue with that, with the residency. It's really, I really left it up to them. So
We should request a variance for this matter, and I would, for one, be open if community board people will ever see this program and they would decide to start the thing properly with the petition, and they would invite people. I would gladly come and I would explain to everybody because Victor was speaking in English. His voice was extremely important to a lot of people. Most
yeah,
importantly was, of course, for people who live in our southern Brooklyn area,
yeah,
and he's so respected. He's still remembered. He's really one of the people who really earned, does not even deserve. He earned this very hard work, uh, and he's a big example. It will remain forever a big example, great example how you get to people's hearts. And there's also a book that he wrote, published by our New York publisher, Ilya Levkov, who was on this program a week ago, probably. So I would say everybody go to Liberty Publishers online or write to me, and I will direct you if you want to buy this book about Victor to show your memory. So and refresh your memory and to learn about Victor, the writer, Victor the thinker, not just a radio talker. So that would be a great example to do so, and a great occasion to do so. But again, we should do it properly. We should show an example. how it's to be done by the rules, because you cannot, every one of you can put a sign on the wall of your house that would say this is Victor Topoler Street. You can't do it. No one is to stop you. If you want to do it officially, if you want to do it properly, we should go and do it with the Community Board 13. And from what I found online, when I heard the story first, and I found out that there was no follow-up. There was initial presentation, but there was no follow-up, so that that next step would be done, and the next step would be done, and it would all get to a healthy discussion and proper decision. So we will follow on this, and we will be thinking here.
I mean, I would just say that, you know, whenever a proposal like this comes up, if the community feels strong about it, they should
Yes.
write to the community board, because they are the ones who are really deciding this, and they're going to vote on it. So I think the more people express how much they love this person and how important he was to the community,
Absolutely.
I think that the community board will definitely listen, and they'll definitely maybe they'll understand better. But it really is a decision for them to make.
Yeah, we were really lucky to have Victor in our midst, and to have him to address the issues, the pressing matters of the day. So he's really a great man for us all, and we would like to have his memory kind of I want him to be remembered this way, so kids would ask, who's this guy, and we would have a chance
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
explain it to them again and again. Really,
Absolutely.
he's sorely missed these days. Inna, thank you so very much. There's a lot of things that we wanted to say, and we will say, and we'll have more meetings like this. And I think that, in my honest opinion, you're a hard worker. And if somebody wants, like you have a competitor this day for this very prestigious seat. And
Yes.
it's interesting that once you got the seat, if you're a Republican, you got to go and try to get the second seat, not to push your fellow Republican off the first seat. You know what I'm saying? It's not to compete with our own. We have a lot of people that would be that do not bring much to our area. So we have a number of districts. Why not? Why not to compete in a different district? And of course, you cannot run only on the memory of Victor Topoler. He would hate it. Victor Topoler is the man who was very honest, and he wouldn't like his name to be exploited this way. If you want to run against a sitting councilwoman, you have to come with a program. You have to come with some values that you want to establish. Not enough. Every effort will be made on behalf of this organization, let me call it this way.
Oh yeah,
support you.
we put you up for district leader,
So everybody who wants to participate, let me know. You know my email, you know my phone number. If you don't know it, watch the next stream with Professor Znamensky. It will be in Russian, so there will be a reminder of my phone number, of my email. Let me know. Your voice, your little attention is needed this year again. We need to win.
and we're doing petitions, so please sign our petition. Yuri's on my petition with me, so
Yes,
we got to get on the ballot.
We organizing all this, and I'm sure we'll have our ducks in a row, and we will win again this time.
Oh, absolutely. We'll win together.
Bye, everybody, for not too long.
Have a great night, and happy Women's Day.
Спасибо. Я не праздную 8 марта, я праздную Mother's Day. Но пожелания учтено.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.